Hello there, how's everyone doing? Ame Gakita does. Alright, this kind of topic I actually kind of wanted to talk about it for a bit earlier. But in regard, what you guys need to know about this is actually the Writer Guild of America had created a protest. Not really, they say it's on strike or whatsoever, but it's kind of like, in a sense, is that what I'm looking at it is a kind of a protest. Although there is I won't deny there is a strike, but at the same time, what I'm kind of surprised as the reason behind it, as well as the outcome, which I'll be talking in a while. So what you guys need to know, for everyone not aware, that there is a writer guild in America where basically they're the one who oversee the writers most in a way for Hollywood or Netflix and Amazon Prime or these things. So they are kind of like, all right, you want a writer, you look for us, we'll help you look for a writer and post it out. So it's kind of like a guild but for writers. So in a sense, is that what I'm actually kind of surprised when I look into the issue itself, because I'm a writer myself in a way, but I never come across such a thing like the issue that have been and what's not. So it's actually kind of interesting for me to share, as well as to let you guys know my take on it. So the first thing what you guys need to understand is that if we actually look at the whole issue, it had been 146 days of that it had been accumulating, for which means that the strike that had caused like disruption to movies, streaming show, all these things had been delayed for quite a while. That caused a lot of people to rethink about writer, because if you guys need to understand, show do not go on just because of producer or the host or maybe the actors, actress, or the director. Writers do play a huge part in that they are the one who write the story up of the script for the host to read about, because they are also the one who have to go into in-depth research on things, so that, for example, if a host, like the host of the show, want to talk about something, like if they want to talk about something and they have to do research, but the thing is, right, the hosts don't have the time to do the research themselves. So often more than not, they will hire a writer who will oversee everything, where they will go and do research on their end, write the best script that they can come up with, and let the host read it off the line. The line do not come from nowhere. If people who kind of like know what they are saying, yes, I know some people be like, oh, YouTube, you like Ame Gakita, you are saying everything, you are not even reading a script yourself. Yes, I don't. But at the same time, that doesn't mean that I do not do my own research. I still have to kind of like pull out a plan. I still have to go and research stuff on my end, as well as to write a few points and paste it in front of my screen, so that when I'm talking about this whole damn thing, at the very, very least, I know what I'm saying. Because even though my point is like in point form, I'm not like reading off a piece of paper words by word, line by line. It's more for me, it's like points by point, so that I know I can say it in my own way. But you still need to have a writer to kind of give you the best option, to give you the better idea, the better information to say things that you are supposed to say. So let's say, for example, if you are a wrestling fan, you go and think about, oh, WWE, do those wrestlers know what they're gonna say? I know it may sound ridiculous, and there are a lot of people who doesn't like the way they are reading, a lot of wrestlers reading through a script or a line. But if you actually think of, let them, and they kind of like, oh, we want the wrestler to have some sort of freedom. But yes, they do have a freedom, but in a sense that for the creative part, you still need the writers. You still need to have a writer to write things for you, so that they can give you better idea, more creativeness, as well as let people understand that you do not need to spend too much time on research, all these things, so that and so that you can come up with, you can use that time to do other stuff. Which, even for me, if I have a writer, obviously I won't be able to pay him or her. But the thing is that I will able to have someone to help me oversee what's the thing that I need to say or I can say, or what information will I be. It will save me on more time to do more streaming or maybe video editing if I or stuff. So it actually, having a writer does help, and I have been doing some of my script, some of my stuff, and point for all these things. So it's kind of like, yeah, it's not easy at all. So what I'm kind of surprised is that the cause behind it is that there was a lack of agreement on a new contract between WGA, which is the writer, as well as the AMPTP, which is basically the one who is overlooking the motion, the American motion picture, those kind of movie firm, all these things. So I was actually pretty surprised to know that there was a lack of agreement on a new contract, which in a sense caused this whole issue to start happening. And I'm actually kind of, the thing I was like, why are the writer having poor conversation? Well, what you guys need to understand is that the writers are not getting paid accordingly. Like they are getting very least pay. They are not like having a proper pay if what this is what I'm reading as words to words. So it's actually kind of like bad for the writer. It's like the writer is not even getting a proper pay for their daily expenses like bills, rental, all these things. So it's like it's kind of sad to know this kind of thing is happening in America. Not saying that it's not happening in all other countries. There are such issues happening in their other country, but America is one of the best country to know about. But I believe that hopefully after this whole damn thing, at least they will have a better conversation and feel, because there are pretty a lot of people who is a writer in America, and it's kind of sad to know that this kind they are not even getting a proper pay for it. So their goal for this time, the strike action, the work storage, the Pickering, which basically protests on the street. So basically all their goal is to increase the funding and job security for writers, increase the size of writer room, which I will talk about those things later, and limit the use of AI in the writing process. Okay, number one, increase the funding and job security for writers. What I'm reading, if I'm not reading it wrongly, increase the funding is I believe they need to increase the fund. Basically, I've seen a lot like writer doing jobs that is like producer or director. They are doing way beyond their job scope. They can just write a thing and then give the job to the producer and director to do things. But they are not. They are doing research. They are doing writing. They are writing the script. They are doing marketing, all these things. So they are doing a lot of stuff way beyond their job scope. And I do think that it justifies that they are supposed to be paid for that much of money. So it's kind of interesting to know how much they are going to have their pay increase or not. I had no idea, because they say increase of funding. We are not looking at the transparency yet. We do not know how much they are being paid. So hopefully they will get more transparency on how much a writer should be get paid, and as well as the security for it. When they say job security, there is two ends to it. One is that they either get abused or bullied as a writer, which is a huge no. Like, if you get bullied in a job, that is something that people need to look into it. But and what I'm looking at, another form of job security is that it is very likely that writer can be replaced very easily, which later on I will talk about the third point about AI. But the thing is, right, writer replace writer is not an uncommon thing to see. But if the writer have been doing stuff that is very consistent, or maybe change with the time, or this thing, and it attract more viewers, that writer should be given a pay rise, as well as kind of like ensuring like the writers stay in the job so that they can improve your show or TV or movie to make it more interesting. But on the other hand, it can also mean that some writer didn't have a stable job. Some of them maybe they may be like, they are writer for not even 1 year, they got fired. Their reason being layoff or whatsoever reason, and it kind of like they don't have a contract, meaning that to like kind of like make them have a conversation or whatsoever. It's like you are fired, they really get fired. Oh no, when there's no conversation, there is no whatsoever, they are just out of the company. Or the production of the video. So it's kind of like maybe a little bit harsh for the writer. If the writer is bad, maybe some people will say they deserve it. But if the writer is not that bad, it's one of the popular one, and they kind of get laid off because of like pay or whatever, yeah, there is something wrong with the whole damn thing. So yeah, I believe that this number one is a huge thing that they have to look into it. And number two is actually kind of like one that made me take a look into the whole damn series of what happening, as well as actually kind of making me wonder what increase the size of the writer room. Are you telling me that the writer have been living in a prison-like room and writing it for days? Like, my impression of writer have been like, oh, they have a room where they can sit down and write, and maybe some a conditioner, or maybe a place to snack, just whatever. But if they are kind of like in a hidden 4-room, I mean, like, if the writer need to be forced to write, then maybe you have to keep them in that. Not saying like maybe you want to keep that room for some bad writer, but I don't think it should be that bad for most writers. I believe there are many writers who can write better in a better environment, a better condition of the room. So giving them more space, giving them more freedom does help to improve creativity. So I'm actually kind of surprised to hear that they are actually having the like issue with the size of the room. I'm like, what? Are you telling me that they are writing in prison like room? Like, dude, give them a better room, give them a better treatment, so that they can come up with better ideas. I mean, like, if you sometimes when in stress, a person can't think out properly, they can't come up with new creativity, and often more than not, they come up with mediocre stuff where it kind of like let people think like, oh, this is bad writing. No, you have to kind of give them a proper role. Even in my own house, or back in Japan or in Singapore, I have making sure that when I do some writing, I have to be in a place that I'm comfort with writing. A room that have enough space, the right humidity, the right temperature, all these things, and kind of like let me enjoy writing. Is even when I'm doing research to talk about this whole video, I have to make sure that I'm actually thinking and writing point of what I'm gonna say, things that I want to highlight, things that I want to share, and what's not. So it's kind of surprised that the writer being locked out in a prison-like room to write all these things, then I think someone need to show approval. This is just apparently, so I had no idea how much, but seeing this kind of girl in it is kind of like interesting, and so I'm like, wait, what? Like, I'm really had no idea. And limited use of AI or artificial intelligence in the writing process. So I believe they are saying like ChatGPT, all these things that have been shown to be able to write in like very, very fast, a short story, a short script, or whatsoever. I had used AI, not denying that how fast it can write. I will share in a few random chat about AI stuff, which I'm finding very interesting to talk about. But I'm actually very surprised that they say limit the use. I had no idea when they say limit the use, is it that you can use or can you not use? Is it like to an extent or not even use it? It's like it's very viral for like, I'm not very sure how much they are limiting it, but at the same time, not even using it can be a problem, because sometimes AI, not saying like AI is the best in script writing, there are people using it to make life easier, yes, but it doesn't mean AI is perfect yet. Sometimes I had sometimes AI to write a script for me, it doesn't work that well, which is the reason why sometimes when I see it, I kind of like write the point out in my own way and do this whole video in a way. So I'm not saying like everything is written by AI. Sometimes using AI to catch a few points that you think is important, you still have to go through a human to read through the AI, to proofread the thing that AI written, and then you kind of see, is it possible to use it or not? It's not saying like the whole damn thing is AI generated is good. Sometimes you have to have a human to spot a little bit of mistake or things that you can which one is more suitable to be used, because sometimes AI may not be understand what is good and what is evil. They can kind of like generate the things out based on the question you asked for and the information that you needed, all these things, but you still need to go and buffer it yourself. So using AI, I believe if it does help, they can use it, but not to the whole damn thing. You can't just go and say, AI, please generate a story for me. No, you shouldn't do that. You can just say, AI, do you have interesting story information that you can share? Because what you guys have to understand, they are using information online based off work created by other creators. So you're kind of like copying from other creators, writers, or content creator or whatsoever. Is that using this? It's like what AI doing is like copy paste from other people. And is that a good thing? Not really. But if you use AI to give you some sort of idea and you kind of like use the idea, change it with add in new idea, change most of the part, but at least give it a fresh look, give it a new perspective or some stuff from point of view or this thing. Like if you have to change it yourself, you are the writer, you are the creative, you have to come up with a new idea. You can't just let AI take over everything, because imagine like AI take over the job of writer, everything in the whole world will be AI generated, and that not just that, all AI will just basically giving you the same show, the same thought, the same response. Everything will be the same. And why? Because AI kind of like just limit give you the same damn thing again and again and again and again and again. There's no more fresh feel. There is like no more whatsoever. So you still have to go through a human to give you the new perspective, new idea, to give you everything that the AI is unable to provide. So when last time when they say, oh, ChatGPT, like it can overtake a lot of job, Illustrator and programming, all this thing, it is understandable. But at the same time, when this writer, I'm like, oh god, the writer is gonna have a huge problem. But on the other hand, looking at how AI have been writing story, it's not saying that it's perfect. In fact, there are forced to it. Just like everything in this whole world had a balance, so that I always say, it doesn't mean AI is good for writing a whole new movie story. You can use it as a base, but you still have to change, you have to tweak, you have to give it a fresh look, you have to think about what is logical and what is not logical. Like sometimes AI just give you the most illogical thing, which I will share in the future video about AI stuff, which I was reading about it this past few days, and I was like laughing nonstop about the response by AI. But yeah, what you guys need to know is that this whole issue about writer is it's kind of interesting read and funny for me, but I'm not saying like it's good in a way, because it's that it's sad to hear that all these thing is happening to writers all around the world. So I believe that maybe writers should have a better look, because if you guys think about in Japan, is the writer being considered a good thing? It depends on who you are. If you're a writer for a light novel, if you are popular, you got good response. If you're a bad writer, people will be like, yeah, don't even care about you. But that doesn't mean that writers are being paid properly. Sometimes when people like write anime, the royalty for the is not even given that much to the writer who create that story, the anime or manga itself. Sometimes the company who created anime may just pocket every single thing. So in the end, who is the one gonna get paid? It's like not for entirely the writer have to get paid for everything. You can write an interesting story and yet you're not getting paid properly. So it's like, yeah, that is like a huge bin, like the writers don't have to pay for their rent, they have to pay for their whatsoever. It's like, who are gonna pay for them? Them themselves, when they are really doing the job that is trying to let them earn money. Yeah, not really good. So I'm actually kind of happy to to hear that in after around nearly 150 days, 146 days to be exact, that this whole thing had between the WGA as well as AMPTP had finally come to the agreement on the new contract, which I believe is should hit most of the goal. To what extent I had no idea until more information is released, and I will just show you guys the more information on the Wikipedia, or for you guys to read on your own, which in the description below, because I am too out of breath to talk about every single point, because this is my opinion, my take, and you guys are just listening. So Don't forget to press the like button and subscribe if for more random chat or video or live stream. But hope you guys have a nice day or night. Goodbye.